Hello and welcome to Hever Castle in Kent, childhood home of Henry VIII's ill-fated second wife Anne Boleyn. Today, 8 artists are lined up ready to make history. So who will be crowned King or Queen of Art and who will be getting the chop? It's a brand new episode of Landscape Artist of the Year. In this year's hunt for Britain's landscape painting royalty, of the 2,000 artists that applied, just 48 were chosen to take part in 6 heats. We've thrown it all at them as we've travelled the length of this sceptred isle, demanding views, excitable crowds, and extreme weather, through all of which the artists have had to keep their cool.
A little bit worried. Well, we're not going to worry. We're going to paint.
Should they prevail, the prize of a lifetime awaits. A £10,000 commission for the Science Museum, celebrating the beauty of Orkney and its place at the forefront of the sustainable energy revolution. As always, it's Art World nobility our artists need to impress. Taishan Scherenberg, Kathleen Soriano, and Kate Bryan.
How are you going to approach Tyler today? Just a little bit of bright green, it'll be a tiny bit. Okay, I love this. What are you doing to the bright green?
Also holding court at every heat are another 50 intrepid landscape artists, our wildcards.
That's the bush, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit of poetry. I like the structure. I like that too, but I just find it like neurotic. If there's one leaf out of place, get the sitters.
So whose work will be their crowning achievement?
It's just time issues, isn't it? It's always going to be hard to do a painting in 4 hours.
And who, as we continue the search for the Landscape Artist of the Year, will be thrown out?
You see all the pencil marks underneath it, your leaf.
Today, 8 artists are putting their necks on the line. Denise Fisk, an oil painter from East Sussex. Wiltshire watercolourist Ryan Smith. Ramon Adeyemi, a Nigerian painter living in Manchester. And collage artist Giles Davies from Derby.
I'm feeling quite glad that the day's here, really. I've been still anticipating it for a while, so it's very nice to be here and for the sun to be shining.
Joining them, Anne Frosthow, a psychotherapist from Norfolk. Isle of Wight graphic designer Andy Ashdown. Rebecca Howard, an illustrator turned painter from Berkshire. And South London animator Jasmine Hewitt.
A bit nervous. There's like a lot of artists here that are a lot older than me, but I'm going to just treat it as like having a fun time.
Our artists have all brought along the originals of the landscapes which won them their place in the competition.
My submission took me well in excess of 30 hours. So doing something in 4 hours is a mega challenge. I'll probably be panicking all day.
My landscape submission, I was sort of giving my heart to it and it responded. I want to show how I feel. That's why I paint.
Artists, it's time to put the draw into drawbridge. You have 4 hours to complete your challenge and your time starts now. Laid out for the artist today is an utterly glorious but fiendishly detailed landscape. Between our pods and the arresting architecture of historic Hever Castle itself sits a verdant patchwork of immaculately manicured gardens, striking topiary, trees, shrubs and lawns, all reflected in the lily pad covered outer moat that dominates the foreground.
The view in front of me of Hever is absolutely stunning. It's very picture perfect. So it will be a challenge, but there are so many textures, patterns, just like it will be.
My main issue is I'm not a lover of green, so being as where we are, predominantly there's a green foreground, so I'm going to have to adapt that. So I panic now.
There's so much here for them to get stuck into, but they are going to have to be very careful about not doing too much.
And of course, it's not just green today. You've got this fantastic stone, and I think once the sun comes out, all the warmth and the texture will come out.
Yeah, and I think it's just so historic. I mean, it really feels like we've gone back in time. The birds are singing, it's really peaceful, but I don't want them to be too pretty.
I'm not too worried about the prettiness at this moment, because I think the history is so tough that somehow I think that's going to end up balancing the two.
Okay, so we've got an incredible castle loaded with history. It's been a good day.
It's going to be amazing.
As a few early visitors to Hever start to trickle in, our first artist is keen to avoid turning today's pretty and highly cultivated view into something the judges might think is too sweet.
So my style is quite illustrative. So I'm looking to get the castle in, but also have the water in the foreground. I think that will create some really nice shapes in the work.
Rebecca Howard worked as an illustrator before turning to painting full-time. A background that continues to influence her work, as seen in her graphic depiction of Old Harry Rocks in Dorset, painted from photographs she took while on a winter walk with her family.
You do reduce things and simplify them, don't you? So you've seen things that naturally lend themselves to you.
Yeah, we've got the topiary, the castle, extreme. So I think I'm going to have to minimise what I'm seeing, basically, and try and create some blocks of colour.
Let's talk about your submission.
Yes, so it's the same process. I guess a sped-up version is what I'm trying to do today.
Okay. Rebecca, you feel, although it's simplified and quite graphic, that there is a kind of emotional subtext to it. So I hope you find an emotional subtext in this really complicated composition.
Thank you very much.
And Rebecca isn't the only artist with a stylized take on today's view.
I really love comics and stuff. I love the visual language of it. And like, while painting, I'd love to add that influence to it. Kind of like add a bit of flair to everything. Yeah.
Obsessed with comics since she was a child, 23-year-old Jasmine Hewitt recently completed a BA in animation production. Her submission in acrylics splices together representations of old family photos into a single cohesive painting and forms part of her final university coursework.
Morning, Jasmine.
Morning.
How are you feeling? Nervous. You don't need to be nervous. I know you're a brilliant artist. This is submission here. This is fantastic. You've broken the painting down into these various pieces.
Yeah.
And I know we don't need to do it with tape because I see you doing that here. Why do you do that? So it's like inspired by like comic stuff. I feel that just to give a bit of flair to it and to be able to kind of really focus on like certain areas of like the landscape. And I guess what's really interesting about that is that you can kind of create a story so your eye travels over the scene. So what are scenes your eye to travel over today? Jasmine, what are you going to focus on? So at the moment, I'm just trying to focus on niche things like the flag and perhaps that. I'm still trying to figure out the composition right now. Okay. Just because there's a lot. There's like a lot. There's a lot. We always give you a lot. Okay, well, good luck. Enjoy it. I already really love this circular piece of tape. So we really focus in on the flag like that.
In another corner of Hever's glorious grounds, a 50-strong army of artists is preparing to lay siege to the castle, our marvellous wildcards.
I chose this spot because I have a direct view. There is the castle and the moat, which is absolutely perfect. Very excited, can't wait to get going.
I live very near here and I drive past most days, and it's a big surprise. It's fantastic garden.
The chance of a pod in the semi-final is the prize, should any of their work whet the judges' appetites.
Look at your cherry earrings, they're actual cherries.
No, they're not actual cherries, but whatever fruits in season,
Right.
the earrings will match. Unfortunately, I do struggle not getting rid of them.
Right, yeah, what do you go for?
Potato.
You got potato earrings.
have a chance of cooking up a winning painting, the artist must finish within 4 hours. And our next has spied a window of opportunity.
I knew that I needed to limit my composition, so I had a vague idea that I might do something with the windows. Once I was happy with that, I just went all in. I've got to commit,
Graphic designer Andy Ashdown discovered a passion for landscapes during the pandemic. First putting down a detailed pen and ink drawing before applying watercolour washes, his meticulous Isle of Wight beach scene took over 30 hours to complete.
What is it, a sort of medieval cross?
Yes, what I need to do is limit my composition quite substantially just because of the time frame. I have a very technical approach. So rather than just give you a very small picture, I'm using some of the loophole windows that are on the castle.
I see, it's not a cross, it's a cruciform window.
Yeah, although there is actually quite a nice narrative in the cross form because of the history of the castle and its whole role in the English Reformation. So actually, I don't normally try and put that much narrative in my pictures.
Leave it in
There's a nice link.
I love a bit of narrative as well.
So hopefully it'll work.
I
who knows?
wouldn't have expected that from your submission. It makes me think that there's something almost Japanese Ukiyo woodblock printing. Is that something you ever look at?
I am really inspired by woodblock, lino cut printing. It's that crisp black element that I like, and that's a big part of my work.
Well, I love it. I like that there's sort of choices in it as well.
Thank you.
While today's artists each have their own way of interpreting the scene in front of them, our next competitor's method leaves little to the imagination.
I'm a realist painter. I paint reality painting. So I'm going to capture the foreground and the background from here to the sky.
Nigerian Ramon Adeyemi enjoyed a successful career as a portrait artist in his native Lagos before moving to Manchester. Now a keen painter of landscapes, his depiction in oils of the view from his office window features his signature hyper-realistic style.
Rowan, can I just talk to you about your submission, because it was the first time I've seen it in real life, and it is so detailed. It's a view you know well?
Yeah. It's a scene from where I'm working.
Oh, okay. I mean, does that help when it comes to detail?
Yes, because I'm seeing it every day.
So it's in your memory?
Yes.
How long did that take you?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay, Ramon, there's an incredible amount of detail here. You're going to just start off with this?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just do it faster.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I also know that you're a Man City supporter and you think because you've won everything, it's going to be easy. Everything's easy now.
Yes, everything is easy.
Everything's easy.
But an hour into the competition, it's the prospect of scoring own goals our artists are concerned with.
So I've divided my painting into the head section, the castle section, and then kind of made a little curve which shows the flag. I'm feeling a little bit stressed, dealing with a lot of shapes that I don't really know how to kind of complement with my style.
The only thing I'm concerned about at the moment is I've got a lot of green, and I'm wondering whether it's going to be a bit too green. I'm definitely panicking if it work.
My composition is always going to be a risk. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, is the honest answer, but I'm happy to find out.
In Kent, 8 artists are taking on the historic splendour of Hever Castle and its immaculate gardens. And as the grounds gradually become busier, the big news so far is the breadth of approaches being used to tackle the detailed and demanding view. And our next pod artist is another intent on making headlines.
I'm a magazine collage artist, so I use fragments of magazine cuttings to build up a landscape. So you've got all the textures, all the patterns, all the colours in there, and it's really just how you combine them really to best effect.
Starting with a pencil sketch, Giles Davies sticks cuttings from magazines down in layers to build up semi-abstract works. His submission of Derbyshire's Dugdale is his first piece completed on plein air. Today he's attempting his second.
Start with your submission. One of the things I love about it are the diagonals. It's almost like you're looking at the geological formation of the mountain and all that lovely reflection. So see now how it works. So you start with these big layers of colour, and then presumably you get tinier and tinier and tinier as you go through.
That's what I'm aiming at.
So what stops you just cutting out a castle shape from a picture of a castle?
Because it's not very interesting. So I quite like finding things which are completely not what they seem. When it comes to vegetation and so on, I try and put in things like bits of salad and I'm using bits of food, pastry, and that sort of thing for the brickwork.
Okay.
Because there are all sorts of things which have got a sort of suitable texture or pattern quality about them.
Okay, I'm really interested in seeing how the details sort of add on over the course of the day, so I'll come back in a couple of hours.
I'm not a fan of bright green at all. I'm definitely more an autumnal person. I love rich ochres and siennas, so it will be a challenge today.
Denise Fisk describes her work as a twist on the classic pastoral paintings of Constable and Turner. Her atmospheric submission in oils is of a scene in Ashdown Forest in East Sussex, where she often visits for inspiration on walks with her dog.
Denise, your submission has a really romantic quality to it. It exists in this kind of colour territory of its own.
Yes, I always go to autumnal colours, so I started with the red because I wanted that richness of the autumn and winter to come through.
Yes. Well, I love your use of colour. You can put together really interesting combinations. How are you going to approach colour today? You've got a lot of green and this beautiful stonework.
I'm going to avoid bright acid green. It's not who I am. It's just a little bit of bright green. It'll be a tiny bit.
Okay, I love this. The avoidance of bright green. There's having no bright green. Okay, you're a woman with a plan. Just got to do it.
Yes, do that. Thank you very much.
Picturesque castle, bit of foliage, blue sky, your fluffy clouds, bish bash bosh.
I mean, I do expect you two ladies to be dancing amongst the hedges or a knight or something. I mean, it's ridiculously picturesque.
So pretty, and we know pretty makes you come out of the
It's difficult, isn't it? How do you make a painting without it being historical or pretty or like a Hollywood set? The castle is complicated. The fantastic topiary is an interesting way into the painting, but even that is kind of lost in the greenery. When I see the view we give our painters, I'm already editing and thinking, okay, I would paint that. And today I can't find a view I would paint. So yeah, we're asking a lot of our artists.
Hever Castle presents a serious technical challenge, but for one artist it's not what she sees, but what she feels that informs her composition.
I think my paintings are about a response of being in a place. Well, in this case, I mean, it's extraordinary. It's sort of drenched with Anne Boleyn, isn't it? And so I feel terrifically moved.
Now in her 80s, art has been a lifelong passion for psychotherapist Anne Froshow. Working in oils, with vibrant colour and expressive brushstrokes, she responds emotionally to a landscape, as seen in her depiction of a valley in the Dorset countryside.
But tell me a little bit about this, because you've got bits happening over here and then a little bit over there.
I think it is like a concerto or something like that, and you have sort of themes or bits, and then you sort of explore them, and then you leave them behind.
So here you've got something that's quite structured, and it seems to me that both your painting style and certainly your submission are both very organic.
Well, it is difficult. I tend to paint in a sort of sensual kind of expressive way, but actually I think I have to be responsible and respect the architecture.
Okay, it feels like you've got a lot to do, but I love the colours.
Thank you.
Okay.
work in watercolour predominantly, and I strive to capture atmosphere to try and draw the viewer in so that they engage with what I've put on the surface of the paper.
Brian Smith has been painting and teaching watercolours since the 1990s. Prioritising the mood of the landscape in his work, his evocative submission depicts a jumbo jet graveyard close to his home in Wiltshire.
Brian, it's just a beautiful medium. I mean, it looks very yummy.
It is, it's very tasty.
But it's also very atmospheric. You know, you're reacting to the tones in front of you and they're getting drawing right. Is that a side product?
The atmosphere, it comes from trying to capture the essence of the subject, the light, the shadows, the feeling of drama within that.
It's amazing that you've got so much atmosphere so early on. But let's talk about your submission. Again, you've got this dense atmosphere, but when you talk about building the image, it's about the structure and the composition. So, like you say, it's that marriage of both of them, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You're trying to juggle, and it's that juggling which either makes it succeed or not.
Well, look, I'll let you get on because it is ambitious, but it's very beautiful already.
Tucked away in their corner of the grounds, our wildcards are spoiled for choice when it comes to which view to depict. And it seems that some of them are hedging their bets.
That's the bush, is it? Yeah, it's a bit of poetry. I like the structure.
I like that too, but I just find it slightly neurotic. You know, it's got to be perfect because one leaf out of place, but it's a little.
Leslie, you transported me, I don't know, sharks from Rouen at the time of Monet.
Yeah.
Is that your style?
It is, yes. I'm not really interested in detail at all.
Okay.
And the colour is all about the excitement of today.
Well, it's looking great. It's very impressionistic. It's very lovely touch.
Thank you.
Rachel, this is wonderful castle, and you've decided you're not really interested in that.
Well, I am, but it was just such a beautiful view of the tree.
Also, I get a feeling your natural habitat is in the organic rather than in the sort of...
Yes, I would say that's probably right.
Well, that's what's beautiful.
Back at the pods and with 2 hours gone, it's not just the pressure of painting in front of the growing crowd that's beginning to take a toll on our artists.
I'm in a slight, mild crisis. It's going to be very tight to manage it in the time, but I'll continue with being responsive and hope this will work out. I've mapped in the darkest, strongest tones, those autumnal colours that I need to crack on,
Time is the main concern. I'm confident that I've got lots of really nice pieces to use, but it's just the speed at which I can select them and cut them down. So apart from not having 3 hands, it's going great.
In Kent, our artists are taking on the compositional conundrum of Hever Castle and Gardens, and Berlin's childhood home. But some of their approaches have landed them in a right royal mess.
I could run out of time, which means the clock has the shape of the window will become a bit meaningless. I'll feel a bit more confident to put some colour on there, and it's looking like a bit more of a finished piece with the artwork. I'm thinking the roof of the castle is quite challenging, just because of the so much detail. There's nothing I can do, just to try my best.
I guess it seems to me that your work comes together at the end because things are constructed in sections that are very distinct.
Yeah, maybe I see the world in more of a graphic way.
Yeah.
It's more like block colour.
I'm just worried about time at this point in the day. Do you think quite calm though?
Yeah, I'm calm and exterior, and then sort of falling apart the inside.
Okay.
Mine, though, is of no concern to watercolourist Brian.
I think I've taken my painting as far as I can take it with the pizza and the tofu and everything else. So
I think it's the time at which to move on to eternity. It's the point at which you should get off the bus, and I should get off the bus on that one.
Behind the wheel today are our three eminent judges. So, halfway along the route, which of the artists are ringing their bell?
Well, this is nice. A beautiful castle, a sunny day. Something, isn't it? Look how many people are out here.
And I'm really excited to see that we've got an incredible, diverse array of views of Hever Castle.
Giles is facing a problem that his material is flapping and flowing and flying away in the breeze.
Yeah, but what I'm seeing are these big chunks, and what I really want is that intensity of the smaller fragments that we saw in his submitted piece. I want that vibrancy.
I think it'll get more complex this afternoon. I think we'll get something like the submission, which is, you know, a real tour de force of collage.
I mean, I love Denise's palette. I love the sort of dark, browny, reddy colours. And the hesitancy that's there, you know, it's there, but it's not there.
It says Denise, she feels her way into the painting. I do want a little bit more. Rebecca seems to enjoy colour. Is today's view working for her?
I think Rebecca's all about stylisation, isn't she? And the colour is in that. It's like she's filling in solid blocks. And that sophisticated relationship between all of them, I don't think will come in until the end.
Rebecca's process just isn't very attractive because she's working against the white in a lot of areas. But I think you must be really pleasantly surprised at the end of the day.
I saw him on earlier, and there was a lot of detail he was going to go for. I thought, this is going to be maybe quite boring. And suddenly there's a mood appearing.
I actually prefer it to the submission. You know, the submission was very detailed, very precise, and actually, by having less time, he's had to really loosen up.
Andy, are you cross about his cross?
I would normally worry that an artist would do something like that. It was quite contrived, but the work itself is so meticulous and so beautiful. I'm kind of quite taken with it.
The question will be whether colour in some way tips it into the gimmick that he's got with that shape.
Brian's finished his first one, moving on to another one. Brian's a master watercolourist. He creates an atmosphere before he's actually put in the detail. I mean, there's a feeling of it. There's a mood. It's full of people, full of life.
Yeah, people are so dangerous. But Brian, he has people really well. And it's because you understand their physicality, but they're not too specific.
How's Jasmine's old, almost comic book style working for you?
I think Jasmine, she's behaving herself. She's doing what she's been told, but she's painting the view in front of her. She's committed herself to where the fragmentation comes in, and now she knows she needs to build on each of those distinct areas. Anne is she's very badly behaved. She loves a chat. I mean, you can't get out of her paws when you're doing it. I mean, she's big and she's bold. I love it.
And I love the castle as seen through Anne's eyes. It really exists in its own imaginative landscape. And also, that submission is a serious painting. So, you know, she's got the chops.
Well, if anything more clearly demonstrates the centuries that have rolled by, it's Kate's comment that Anne's got the chops being a positive thing and not horrific news about the Queen. Oh, look at that clean, beautiful line. Looking good. Happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah? Are you on a bit of a roller coaster?
Yeah, I think the masking tape kind of gets in the way, but when you get like that really clear like white line, it gives you more of an idea of like what the final result's going to look like. I do need to fix some stuff and get into the full details now.
Got a happy moment.
Yeah.
Good. So, John, Hever Castle has a certain history to it. I understand that a certain character is going to make an appearance.
Well, yes, I have a few cuttings of Henry VIII himself, so I might slice them up a little bit and encase them in the stoneworks in there.
That's a rather sweet revenge.
Yeah, very sweet revenge.
Henry VIII looms large at Hever, but the castle's history stretches back well over a century before he became king, when Justice of the Peace John de Cobham had it constructed in the 1380s.
Hever was built at a time when people were trying to defend themselves. The wealthy wanted to keep themselves and their possessions safe.
In 1462, the castle, with its double moat, walled bailey and gatehouse, was bought by fabric merchant Geoffrey Boleyn, great-grandfather of Anne.
Anne Boleyn moved to Hever Castle as a young girl with her family, and Anne would have spent a lot of time here being tutored, and her mother would have started lessons on how to run a household.
Anne probably met Henry when she was presented at court in 1522. Though still married to his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, he became besotted with the 22-year-old heiress.
Henry actually had a hunting lodge nearby, so it would have been very easy for him to just ride the short distance to Hever when he was supposed to be out hunting. Henry and Anne sent a lot of letters to each other, and we actually have a copy of a letter here that Henry has sent her, and he explains that he cannot be with her in person, but he is sending the next best thing, a small portrait of himself.
In 1533, Henry divorced Catherine to marry Anne, separating the Church of England from Rome and changing the course of British history. But Anne was to meet a terrible fate. Having failed to produce the male heir Henry craved, just 3 years later she was arrested for treason and executed at the Tower of London, a long way from where her story had begun.
People fall in love with the Hever Castle. I think you just have to look at it. It's everything you want the castle to be. Plus we have the tragic love story of Henry and Anne wrapped up in it as well.
Back with the wildcards, it's almost time to discover who will reign supreme today.
So tell me about your approach, because it's quite different in style to the more traditional views that I've seen around here.
Of the demonstration at degree level. I think that's where it comes from.
Well, looks great. That's the calendar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ian, do you do this quite often?
Yesterday was the first time that
So where was that?
in my garden.
So you said limbering up for the
Yes,
day.
yes.
So it's a really steep learning curve.
I aspire to greater things.
It's now down to the judges to select their favourite work. And with such a variety of styles and compositions, who will they crown today's winner?
No, I'm not lost. I know exactly where I'm going. I'm coming here to this wonderful tree. Congratulations. You're a wildcard winner. Thank you.
And the judge's choice is Rachel Muldoon's stylised rendering of one of Hever's venerable catalpa trees.
He found a lovely little shady corner. He painted it so beautifully. The light lifts it, the heavy dark lines. He's given us a wonderful portrait of a tree. Anne Boleyn would be proud. So well done. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The challenges on the wild card is just really it's just amazing. It's just fantastic. I got hoping was going that way, and then she came around and really shocked.
Rachel from East Sussex will join the wildcard winners from the other 5 heats to be in with a chance of a place in the semi-final. As the wildcards wind down, our pod artists have just 1 hour to go.
What I love about talking to artists is to try and work out whether their style reflects who they are.
Yeah.
Are you a tentative person?
Definitely.
You're very much just feeling your way through it. You're kind
That's the
of
fun of painting, isn't it? Every painting is just experimenting and learning as well. Yeah, I hope it's always like that.
the second painting involves the bridge and the water, and I'm just putting what I call the jewellery, the bits and pieces that put it together.
I'm struggling with the turquoise. I've got to defend them, and then I think everything will be fine. Come on, be my friend, please.
At Hever Castle, where Tudor turmoil has inspired artistic endeavour, our competitors have entered the final stage of their challenge.
Good brush control, Andy. Thank you, Stephen. It's really hard to start with, but once I get to this point, I can actually relax a little. I hope I can enjoy it.
Okay, you've got to be pleased with that.
Well, I hope so, yeah.
Okay, so this is the final two things.
It is. That is Henry Dick's disembodied eyes, actually.
Well, it's a dramatic ending. I can see there's little bits of white peeking through, so I'm going to leave you to keep carefully placing these.
I've got a little bit more definition of the trees to do. My only concern is overworking and it becoming muddy.
Kind of getting lost in the details. Feeling stress.
Artist, you have 5 minutes left.
Oh. I think I'm going to stick with my original painting. I'll probably live to regret it, but I'm done with that. And thankful for some zippers on the tree. I was doing some very nice effects.
I think I've been defeated by the token. It's got to be a challenge, it's not worth it. Face it.
Artist, your 4-hour challenge is up. Please put down your equipment and step away from your easels.
Do I want the contemporary again? Yes, I think I do. Although it was a lot of topiary, I really enjoyed it in the end.
Couldn't you do 2 paintings? Somebody did 2 paintings.
While the artists compare notes, the judges must decide who will make it through to the semi-final. They start by narrowing the selection down to a short list of 3.
Very idyllic day, and we've got a lot of idyllic works here, and I think everyone's really leaned into the beauty of the place.
I feel it's a battle between the graphic arts and painting. We've got some very graphic contenders and some very painterly paintings.
Ramon's done very well, isn't he? I mean, he has a very kind of laboured, precise, technical style. But actually, I don't think you need as much detail to do something good-looking.
What I think Ramon did really well is the facade of the castle. It's got a strength and nobility to it.
I think what's great about Rebecca's work is it really is just shape and form and colour. You know, it's almost like looking at a beautiful piece of fabric or something.
Yeah, I like Rebecca's different ways of making us understand things. The topiaries are like chess shape, and in the flat tree framing, the texture of the colour. It's a perfectly wonderful bird painting. Andy's use of the arrow slit to frame his image was very clever. And the rendering, of course, is masterful, that combination of pen and watercolour.
I can't decide if the device to shape the picture like this is fantastically clever or maybe a little bit of a trope. He's certainly an artist with great facility and skill. I mean, Charles has really created this fantastic illusion. It's not as slick as his submission, but I do think the way that he's treated the castle is fantastic.
He's very clever. Henry VIII is in there.
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
His beady little eyes.
His eyes are in there, so I'm very happy that it's not sort of him standing there with his hands on his hips looking mean and angry. Denise, there's something strange and dark about the castle that she's given us. Those sorts of dark, reddy colours sort of have a feeling of decay, or it's almost like they're telling a story as well.
It's like you stumble across it on the end of a long, wintry walk. It's strangely timeless.
So Brian made 2 watercolours today. I think he submitted the right one. The treatment of the castle is gorgeous. You really feel it's present.
And today, Brian's watercolour comes across very well in an unchocolate box he made because it's about atmosphere. The people are surrounded by atmosphere rather than just topography.
Jasmine's an interesting artist. She really wants to think in quite a conceptual way about the way in which one navigates space and understands it.
I find Jasmine's painting difficult, awkward to read, and I love it. I love the fact that I'm made to work. What is she saying about the flag? What is she saying about the topiary that's cut off, but is painted absolutely stunningly?
You know, Anne's painting tells us as much about Anne and her joie de vivre and her sort of fantastical thinking as it does about Hever Castle. She's got a great way with colour, a great way with organic shapes. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anne, in her composition today, put the castle in the middle because it comes across much more conventionally than it should have, really.
So we've got 8 idyllic pictures. We've just got to get it down to 3.
Artists, you've all worked incredibly hard today, so thank you for that. It's now time to find out which 3 of you have been shortlisted by the judges. The first artist is Denise Fisk.
Oh, thank you.
The second artist on the shortlist is Brian Smith. The third artist on the shortlist is Jasmine Hewitt. To the rest of you, thank you, commiserations. We've so enjoyed watching you work today. Thank you so much. Thank you. The judges are now faced with choosing today's winner. To help them decide, they also take the 3 artists' submission works into consideration.
Well, what pleasure to be in this beautiful place on a beautiful day. And we put our artists in front of this, frankly, gorgeous castle, but they've all kept it at arm's length.
Well, I think they've all navigated it in their own way. They've had to stay true to who they are as artists. I mean, this is an incredibly diverse lineup.
Denise creates in both her paintings a great sense of atmosphere, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, they're deeply evocative works. There's like a narrative, like something's going to happen, and it's there in the distance, and it's broody, and it's got a strong meaning.
I think Denise is very clever at leaving things open. Nothing has really hard edges. It's about tones and colours and little brush marks being put against each other. That relationship works so well.
Seeing Brian's submission and today's painting side by side, you can see the similarities.
I don't know how Brian does it. There's a lot of detail, a lot of stuff going on. And if you go up close, it's just a bit of watercolour. So it's a great understanding of suggesting stuff rather than delineating it. And I think that's what gives both images atmosphere.
I just think the treatment of the castle is absolutely magnificent. Just in the same way that he's done the tree on the right. It almost looks like a stain of a tree. It's really clever.
Jasmine has given us these panels full of colour. What drew you to her work today?
I really like the principle of the way she segments the work and the way in which she tells these little stories within each section. With the submission, I think it works slightly better because it comes out of the plane. There's a regularity to the work that she made today, which makes it slightly more formal. But the tones are absolutely beautiful. I love her palette choices. It's stunning.
Well, we've been surrounded by beauty all day, but it's the one that you find the most beautiful, the most satisfying, the most interesting that will go through. So you need to get thinking. Denise, Brian, Jasmine, getting to this stage is a fantastic achievement. However, there is room for only one of you at this year's semi-final. The artist who the judges have selected is Denise Fisk.
I didn't think they'd say my name at all. I'm feeling overwhelmed and amazed and brilliant end to a really amazing day.
Denise is a really exciting artist because she has this amazing duality in her practice. It's got this kind of strange, foreboding quality whilst being beautiful. You know, she gives us pictures that leave us wanting more. They have room for our own imagination. She's a really special artist.
Well done.
Huge confidence boost, and when you're quietly doing your own work, you don't know how other people will react. So to have a reaction as an artist, it's just wonderful.
If you'd like to take part in next year's competition or want to discover more about the work of our artists, visit skyartsartistoftheyear.tv. Next time, join us at the semi-final as 7 artists tackle the picturesque shipbuilding village of Buckler's Hard in Hampshire. Navigating one of our biggest ever crowds.
Trying to figure out the path. It's covered in people.
And some challenging angles.
But the state of the houses is weird. If I don't get it right, then I'll be fighting against it.
So which 3 artists will make it through to the final?
My friend went to Buckler's Hard and all I got was this lousy painting. Not a lousy painting. Yeah, you know what I mean.